Hi, I'm Stefano, the moon guy, and in this video I'm gonna be talking about the archetype of planet Mars. So, in your birth chart, Mars is gonna fall in one of the zodiac signs, and this is gonna tell us a lot about how you assert yourself, how you go on about getting what you want, your desires, also related to your sexuality. The Mars house will be the areas in your life where you tend to show your strength, your potency. This also including the houses where you have Aries and Scorpio. It's also where you might sometimes feel angry or impatient. And the planets that make contact with Mars, they are again gonna color how you assert yourself, and we tend to feel compelled to face our own fears and also to affirm our identity via those planets. Well, we all have aggressive and sexual urges, and it is important that we find ways to connect and develop and express the positive significations of them instead of condemning or denying them. There is a kind of healthy aggression that is very important and that helps us grow, develop our individuality, and conquer our fears and our goals. The more we find constructive ways to express that Martian energy, that aggression, and use it to unpack, unfold our own potentials, then the less likely it will be that we're gonna express it in a negative, violent way. The famous English psychanalyst Winnicott said, if society is in danger, it's not because of man's aggressiveness, but because of the repression of personal aggression in individuals. When Mars makes contact with other planets through what we call in astrology soft aspects, it will increase the power of expression of that planet. And we're also going to tend to express that power in wise and reasonable manners. For instance, if you have Mars trining your Mercury, this is gonna empower your ability to communicate and stimulate others through your ideas, your words, your thoughts. When Mars squares or conjuncts other planets, this will also add force to the planet, but there is more risk that we're gonna be a bit too harsh or clumsy while using it. So, for instance, Mars squaring Jupiter is going to bring a lot of enthusiasm, but sometimes it might go overboard and it can cause frictions and heated arguments and even fights, especially when it comes to philosophical and political topics. And with the oppositions, we seem to learn about the nature of the other planet by entering in conflict with other people. So, as an example, Mars opposing Moon might bring up some arguments and conflicts and fights for the acknowledgement of personal and emotional needs. Mars is connected with the Greek god of war, Ares. So Ares doesn't really have a father in mythology. So that's already telling us that he probably lacks more spiritual and intellectual dimensions, since the father principle and the sun symbol are connected with our consciousness, our awareness, our reflection. So Aries is pure instinct without much symbolizing or reflective abilities. And this can be observed, for instance, in our early childhood when we are just 2 years old. That's also why they're considered the terrible twos. when we throw tantrums and we behave in quite a disagreeable manner. And this is a very important and natural part of our development. It's really a statement of being separate from our mother, and it's also the beginning of this process when we're forming our ego. Of course, it is important to contain and temper that Mars energy, but at the same time, it's important that it's not too repressed. Otherwise, that principle in us is gonna stay in a more primitive form. Sooner or later in life, we're gonna face challenges and conflict to our individuality, and sometimes even to our physical or psychological survival. And Mars is that fighting principle. Hercules, it's one of the more famous heroes in Greek mythology. He represents this energy quite well. He is very strong, and he's extremely skilled in battlefields, but he's also quite clumsy, and he's not the brightest, the most intelligent character. Many times he accidentally kills people, hurts his friends. There are the famous 12 labors from Hercules that are tasks and challenges that he needs to go through. And there are two of them that they are nice symbols for the importance of us tempering and containing that Martian energy. So when he's fighting the monster Hydra, which is this monster with many heads, I think 9, I don't remember now, he quickly realizes that if he only uses direct attacks and just physical force without reflection, not only he's not gonna win, but he's also making the enemy stronger. So every time he cuts one of the heads, other 2 or 3 sprout. And this is related to how many times when we just use brute force, this can trigger the aggression in the other and then generate violence. So then Hercules realizes that only the sunlight will kill the monster Hydra, which is a symbol for facing and conquering obstacles and challenges by bringing to it as much light and consciousness and openness as possible. And on his 5th labor, if I'm not mistaken, Hercules needs to clean the stables from this king, and it is almost an impossible task because it's really big, and every time he cleans it, the horses, they poop and make a mess again. So then he has the idea to redirect this river so he would go through and inside the stables, finally cleaning it. And this gesture is related with our psychological function for emotional cleaning and cleansing. And this is Mars territory as well, because most of the times repressed emotions, they come from unexpressed frustration and anger. So if we respond well to those tempering challenges in life, then we can express and manifest this aggression in more positive, creative, and contained instead of repressed ways. A Mars that is too repressed and denied is as tricky and dangerous as a Mars that was not tempered or contained. So think about your childhood, for instance. Do you remember throwing proper tantrums occasionally? Did you have space to do it from time to time? Or not really? The way in which our Mars is handled in childhood makes a great difference and impact in how we use it later on in adulthood. If we are taught that anger and aggression are inherently by themselves bad, this can cause a profound castration that is going to affect our ability later on to desire, to want, to achieve. A blocked Mars results in feelings of impotence, victimization, and this unconscious rage can manifest itself and erupt in a more explicit outward way. It can also manifest inwards, and this can be very dangerous for the person. It can cause illness, it can cause the person to be more accident prone. And this inward expression of blocked Mars, there is more risk that it happens, especially if someone has a more gentle or dissociated Mars. For instance, if there's a lot of Pisces in the chart, or maybe Libra, even Aquarius. The astrologer Liz Green, she said there is no emotional state as destructive to the body as repressed rage and feelings of impotence. The capacity to know what we want and to do what we need in order to get what we want is dependent on our relationship with our Mars. A common result of a disconnected Mars is actually depression, and it has its roots in a deep sense of frustration and anger, which is generated by the sense that one doesn't have the ability or the possibility for choice. I think that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you are into astrology and interested in my work, please visit my website, thecharter.com, and subscribe to my channel, The Moon Guy. Ciao, ciao!